What if I told you that the most powerful invention in human history started with a little boy watching his mom make tea? What if I told you that this tiny puff of steam would move mountains, power cities, and change the world forever? This is the incredible true story of the little cloud that could, and how it gave superpowers to the entire human race. But let's start our story at the very beginning. Once upon a time, long, long ago, the world was a very different place. There were no cars zooming down roads, no trains chugging through valleys, and no big factories with tall chimneys puffing smoke. People worked with their hands and strong animals. Horses pulled heavy carts. Water wheels turned slowly by rivers. Windmills spun, only when the wind decided to blow. But there was a big problem. What happened when the wind stopped blowing? Or when there was no river nearby? Or when the horses got tired? "There must be a better way," said an old miner. "We need something that never gets tired, something magical." Little did they know, the answer was right there in their kitchens, puffing away. One chilly morning, a curious little boy was watching his mother make tea. The water bubbled and boiled, and suddenly, steam burst out and lifted the heavy lid like magic. "Wow, look at that! The invisible cloud is so strong it can lift things," he said. And he was right. Steam was like thousands of tiny invisible helpers, all pushing together. When water gets very, very hot, it turns into steam and takes up much more space, like a balloon inflating. All around the world, smart people were noticing this steamy secret too. They wondered, if steam can lift a kettle lid, what else could it do? In England, there was a big problem. The coal mines kept filling up with water. The deeper the miners dug, the more water seeped in. They tried pumps powered by horses, but it wasn't enough. Then, in 1712, a clever blacksmith named Thomas Newcomen had a brilliant idea. "What if I use steam to power a water pump?" he thought. Here's how his magical machine worked. Fire heated water in a big pot. Steam filled a cylinder and pushed a piston up. Cold water sprayed in, making the steam disappear. This created empty space that sucked the piston down. Up and down, pumping water out of the mines. It worked. The mines were saved. But Newcomen's engine was like a hungry giant. It ate lots and lots of coal to keep running. Years later, in 1765, a Scottish inventor named James Watt was fixing a tiny model of Newcomen's engine. As he worked, he noticed something important. "Wait a minute," he said. "This engine wastes so much heat. Every time it cools down the cylinder, it has to heat it up again. That's like turning your oven off and on while trying to bake cookies." So clever James Watt invented something new, a separate condenser. Now the main cylinder could stay hot while the steam was cooled somewhere else. It was like having a special cooling room, right next to a warm kitchen. This made the steam engine 3 times more efficient. It used much less coal and worked much better. In 1775, Watt teamed up with a businessman named Matthew Boulton. Together, they built the best steam engines in the world. And then, boom, everything changed. Factories started using steam engines to power their machines. Cloth was made faster than ever before. Hammers pounded stronger. Wheels spun without stopping. By the 1800s, there were thousands of steam engines working all across Britain, then spreading to America, France, and Germany. Each one was like a magical helper that never got tired. What used to take a whole day to make by hand could now be made in just 1 hour. People couldn't believe their eyes. Cities grew bigger and bigger as people came to work in the steam-powered factories. It was the beginning of what we call the Industrial Revolution, when the world changed from slow and quiet to fast and busy. But steam engines weren't finished surprising everyone. Smart inventors like George Stephenson thought, if steam can power machines in one place, why can't it power machines that move? In 1825, the world's first passenger railway opened. A steam locomotive called Locomotion pulled carriages full of amazed people at the incredible speed of 15 miles per hour. Soon, steam trains were chugging across entire countries. In America, they built a railway from the Atlantic Ocean, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Steam was making the world smaller. Steam also learned to swim. Steamships crossed oceans without waiting for the wind. Now people could travel anywhere, anytime. Now, steam wasn't the only power source people used. Water wheels kept spinning by rivers and streams, great for grinding grain. Windmills caught the breeze to pump water and grind wheat, but only on windy days. Horse-powered machines worked in places where there was no water or wind. But horses needed rest and food. The wonderful thing was, steam could work anywhere, anytime, in the desert, on mountains, day or night. It just needed fire and water. As years passed, steam engines helped create even more amazing things. They learned to make electricity by spinning giant generators. This gave us light bulbs, radios, and televisions. Later, inventors used steam engine ideas to create petrol engines for cars and diesel engines for trucks. And guess what? Steam engines are still working today. In power plants all around the world, huge steam turbines spin day and night, creating the electricity that powers your lights, your computer, and even your tablet. It started as a curious puff from a tea kettle. It became a mighty machine that could pump water and power factories. It learned to travel across continents, and it grew up to light up the whole world. Here are some fun steam facts. The word horsepower was invented by James Watt. Some steam trains could go over 100 miles per hour. Steam engines are still used in many power plants today. The first cars were actually powered by steam. Did you know that steam is still powering your house right now? Steam's story isn't over. It's still part of ours. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.